Examine your mind, then transform your way of thinking. And what are the results? You will see and watch not only your sales and your business soar, but you're going to see a big change in your personal life. And it's not always about the money. It's about when you change and you examine your mind and you transform the way you think and how you think, it builds a much better character, which is more than money can buy. Because money can't buy character. Matter of fact, money can actually destroy character. You follow what I'm saying? I have a loaded show today, a very powerful show. I'm going to share some things with you that's going to absolutely blow your mind. Welcome to the Paul Cruz Show. I hope everyone had a very successful day, and I hope this topic will give you something to really think about so that you can take some real action. Before we dive into the topic, if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, hit the subscription button below. Also hit the notification so that you can be aware of the new content that's coming out. And if you like it, hit the like button and also share this video with others. Now, I'm going to give you some examples before we dive into it and how you actually examine your mind, transform your way of thinking so that you can have your sales soar and have your business grow exponentially, but more importantly, how it would affect your personal life, which is more important than anything. Now, let me give you an example. Those of you that drive and have a vehicle, multiple vehicles, you know that every 3,000 to 4,000 miles or every 6 months, whichever one comes first, technically you should be giving your car an oil change, right? What happens if you pass that? You take the chance of the car breaking down, right? And typically once a year, we give a full tune-up to our vehicles, right? Again, what happens if we don't? The car will not treat you right. It will break down on you. It may just blow up on you. You will not have a good experience. Does that make sense? The other example I can give you, having a physical exam. It's important that we take a physical exam every 6 months or every year. Why? So that we know what may be wrong with us. Because we may think we're in shape physically, but internally we may not be healthy. So it's important that you do a physical checkup, right? It's the same thing with the eye doctor, the dentist. Anything that has to do with your physical abilities, you must give it a checkup, right? So you got to examine it. But the most powerful thing and the most important thing we all need to do, and I do this every day, is examining our mind, the way we think. Why? Because that's where everything starts. You with me so far? Now, why is this important? And how can this transform your sales and soar your sales and grow your business? Because there's two things in life. There's cause and effects. The results in our life, in our business, in our personal life, the results are the effects. What is the cause of those effects? So when you focus on the cause and you deal with the cause and not the actual problem, you deal with the cause of the problem, you're able to solve things. You're able to examine your mind. You're able to examine things in a clear perspective so that you can make changes. Again, whether it's business, whether it's sales, changing the sales process, changing your business model, changing your strategy, etc. Now, because every cause has an effect, there's no ways around that. And the way you deal with examining your mind is you should do and consider doing conscious thought control, meaning when a thought comes into your mind and it's not a good thought and it's a bad thought, then you need to control it. Let's look at people that are obese, people that overeat, people that smoke a lot or do drugs. They don't have conscious thought control. Their cause is bad. They never examine their mind. They never transform their thinking. So the result is they got physical disabilities, physical problems, mental problems, financial problems, emotional problems. This is very simple. This is not complicated. And it's amazing how everything ties in together, whether it's sales, whether it's business, whether it's your personal life, it all interacts together. There's no ways around that. Does that make sense? So, now, I'm going to give you a personal experience that I had since I've been in El Paso. El Paso has been an incredible experience for me since I moved here in 2019. And when I came here, I had a vision, I had a plan, what I was going to do. Didn't have a lot of money, but I had some challenges here. And so early this year, my goals started coming to fruition because I was examining what I wanted to do. I knew how I was going to do it. And then this pandemic crisis happened. And as a small business owner, any little hit can really destroy a small business or a startup business. I did my first seminar here. I was in preparations for doing my second one on March 23rd. March 19th, everything was shut down here in El Paso. So it hit me hard financially to the point where I had to literally shut down my business. Didn't have a lot of capital because I started investing in my business. So a lot of the capital that I did have, I started using to try to move my business forward. To the point where I actually wind up in the street for 3 days. Then I wind up in a shelter for a few months because I had no choice. I didn't expect that. It happened. But you know what? I had a positive mind, a positive attitude. I got on my knees and I prayed to God that He would guide me through it. And He did. But during that time in the shelter, I started thinking about examining my business, examining what did I do? Why did this happen? What could I have done to prevent it financially? Why am I in this position? I started examining my mind, the actions I took, the decisions I made. Could I have done something different? And when I answered those questions and I accepted the truth, I was okay with it. I knew I was going to be fine. I transformed my way of thinking for the sales, for the business. I made some necessary changes. I was excited to get back because I knew that the changes I made was not only going to help me, but it was going to help my future clients. And that's the most exciting part. So I had to examine, because one thing I will say is I examine myself every single day. I must. I examine my attitude. I examine what goes in my mind. I examine my thoughts. I examine my actions every single day. That's a must for me. Now, for me personally, I haven't been as aggressive as I would like to be in my business. And that's on purpose. Because one thing I've learned when I examine myself is, can I go after a lot of clients and close a lot of deals? Yes, I can do that. But I will be doing a disservice. Why? Because I know I don't have all of the elements or all of the things I need to fulfill those orders, to fulfill all the clients that I would like to help. So I do it strategically. I do it organically. But I know I will be in a position where I can help more business owners. And why was I able to do that? Because I examined. I transformed. And I realized that, you know what? This is how I have to do it. I have to be smart about it. And several months later, after being in the shelter, I got a beautiful place. My business is starting again. I have a consulting a job that I'm working for a company that I love, that I'm doing really well there. And a lot of opportunities are opening up. Why? Because I made a decision and I trained myself to examine and then transform. So you got to transform the way you think. Now, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to share something with you that most doctors don't know and understand. Philosophers, psychologists, psychiatrists. I don't believe in any of that. But the Almighty God taught me this. And He taught me true knowledge. So let me give you an example. In order for you to transform your mind or your way of thinking, you have to know what the mind is. So let me give you an example. The mind is like the software, the information. The brain is the hardware. It receives the mind, it receives the software, it receives the information, and then the mind creates it. The five senses. That's that simple. So, if you examine the way you think, or you examine your mind, and you transform the way you think, and how do you think? You allow things to come into your mind. And if you control that through conscious thought control, you're going to be able to be more effective. You're going to be able to stand stronger on principles and values. You're going to be able to be a stronger salesperson, more successful salesperson, a much more successful business owner, an entrepreneur. But you got to examine every single day. Why? As you're an owner and an entrepreneur and a salesperson, you set the tone for the environment where you work, whether you like it or not. I know whatever salespeople I had and whatever sales organization I was contracted by, I always set the example. Whether I wanted to or not, it's just the way I am. The way I operate as a salesman, my habits, my attitude, the way I sell is contagious for the good way. So you need to always think about that, examining yourself. And if you're not doing that, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're going to be making decisions, the same thing over and over again, maybe grow a little bit, but expecting a different result and then getting frustrated. I'm sure most of you have heard that. Insanity means doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But in order to examine and transform your mind and your way of thinking towards sales, you must first admit that something is wrong. You must admit that you don't know everything and that you can always learn. I learn more from people that don't know or that have never been in sales a long time than people that have been in sales a long time. Because what I've learned, people that are very successful in sales do not like sharing because they like competing. Now, they'll share a book, they'll write a book, they'll sell it to you, but they don't really share. That's just been my personal experience. Then once you know something is wrong, whether it's in business or sales, you have to accept it, then be open-minded to the right changes by examining whatever the process is, whether it's a sales process, whether it's your business methodology, your business model. And then you start to think, how do I make these changes? Again, if you have a strong enough why, the how will find itself, or the how will follow. And also, you got to remember that your actions are tied to your thoughts. Just think about that. Have you ever been in a position where you just say, how did this happen? Why did it happen? I don't even know why. I've been there recently. Once I understood why it happened and the lessons I needed to learn, it was a no-brainer for me. And it was one of the greatest things that happened to me, believe it or not. And sometimes, for me personally, being uncomfortable is how I'm comfortable because I don't like to be complacent. And what happens is in sales or in business, we get into a routine, which is good. Routines are good. But if you're not growing and learning and wanting to get better, then that routine becomes redundant. You start to slip and get into bad habits, lazy habits. Because it takes a lot of hard work to get to a high point. Then when you reach that plateau, people just stop. When you get to that plateau, you got to work even harder to get better. Look at the top athletes of the world in every sport, entertainment. To stay consistent for many years, they have to always examine what do they need to change. How's the environment? A new technology. New ways of doing movies. New ways of producing music. New ways of training. New types of training for basketball, football, baseball, whatever the case may be. The top people in their profession are always examining their business, always examining what they do and how they do it. But the number one thing that you need to focus on, and that I know I do, is you always have to examine your mind and then transform and change the way you think. And you will see, if you examine your mind and you transform the way you think in the right way, to do the right thing, you're going to see your sales soar exponentially. You're going to see your personal life much more fulfilled. But one thing I will tell you, don't always make it about the money. Make it about the value. Transform your thinking to create and increase your value. Money will follow you, but don't let money be the end game. It's just a reward that you get for the hard work you've done. And you will appreciate the process more. You will appreciate receiving that check, getting paid, knowing you did the right thing for the end consumer. Why? Because don't forget this. You and I are consumers as well. We buy, right? And we don't like when someone mistreats us as a customer, or lies to us, or deceives us, or doesn't want to help us, or don't make us feel special, right? So don't forget that, you salespeople, you entrepreneurs, you business owners, because you're a customer just like they are. Don't ever forget that. So, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you get something from this and you take some action from it. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to it on YouTube, hit the subscription button below. Do subscribe and share the video and the audio with others. Till we speak again, I say goodbye for now. This is Paul Cruz with The Paul Cruz Show. And remember this. Examine your mind and reform the way you think, and watch your sales soar. Have a great night. Bye.